شكرا جزيلا. Good morning, everyone. Peace be upon you all. And in the light of the World Cup, hala bikum irhabu. We would like to congratulate our neighbors in Saudi Arabia for their, the news lines, the headlines are calling a major upset for winning against Argentina 2-1. And we would like to wish the best of luck to Nusur Qartaj, the Eagles of Carthage, who will be facing Denmark in a few hours. They're playing right now, actually.
They finished 0-0.
Better luck next time. So I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of the Washington Center for Yemeni Studies and our president, Mr. Abdul Samad Al-Faqih, who is sitting in the back. The Washington Center for Yemeni Studies is a DC-based research organization who sheds light, a wider and brighter light on the conflict of Yemen and aims to break down the complexities of the humanitarian crisis, the ongoing war, and the different social issues in Yemen by marrying data with decision-making. We provide simpler form. We break it down to the decision-makers who have taken, at times, very active roles when it comes to Yemen, but unfortunately have at times come from very misinformed, well-intentioned positions so that we aim to fix that. So I come from Yemen. Contrary to common belief and redundant media headlines, I come from one of the richest countries in the Middle East. The jewel of Arabia, Arabia Felix, Al-Yemen As-Sa'id, from a land rich in history, in heritage, language, and culture. And as an avid reader of history, the former president of Tunisia, Moncef Marzouki, will tell you as much. And it is very refreshing for somebody who participated in the Arab Spring, a youth, to say, former president. We don't hear that as much, and we don't get to see that often, so I'll keep saying it and keep repeating it throughout. So we are, besides that, we are also rich in natural resources, and we suffer from the resource curse in a very important geostrategic location that is unfortunately being held by a government that lacks sovereignty over the use of violence within its defined borders, which does more harm than good. As a participant in the Arab Youth Revolution in 2011 that took down a dictator who ruled for 33 years, Ali Abdullah Saleh, we had one of the most successful revolutions in the Arab Spring. We are a population that was at the time 25 million. Now, ironically, despite the war, we're at 30 million. Our population increased despite the war. And we had the same president for 33 years. Second to the United States, we are the highest gun per capita holders in the world. Every household has some kind of arms.
More than the U.S.?
We're the second guns per capita after the United States, and we still decided to go the peaceful route. Even after the Friday of Dignity, Jum'at al-Karama, when the President Saleh unleashed his forces and killed 53 innocent, unarmed civilians, we still called out in the streets, Salmiya, Salmiya. After an attempted assassination of the President through the GCC initiative, he handed his power to his former Vice President, Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, who was supposed to be in for a transitional period of 2 years, and then we would hold elections. We also had an exemplary event known as the National... I always freeze when I translate it, because I tried to translate it from Arabic. I think in Arabic and translate it to English. الحوار الوطني, the National Dialogue Conference. I apologize. The National Dialogue Conference, where we brought representatives of all the Yemeni factions. We addressed the major discrepancies in all the issues that we had, starting from the separatist issue with the war that ensued in 1994, to the Houthis insurgents and their grievances against the Saleh regime. The Saleh regime then, while the national dialogue was ongoing, allied himself with the Houthi rebel group, who ironically had 6 insurgency wars against his regime between 2004 and 2010. Ali Abdullah Saleh is somebody who likened ruling Yemen to dancing and the heads of snakes. And he did that very masterfully until December 2nd, 2017, when his former enemies, now allies, the Houthis, he came out in December 2nd saying, I would like to open a new chapter with Saudi Arabia and the Saudi-led coalition, and we could unify ourselves against the Houthis. He made these remarks and these statements from Sana'a, from their stronghold. 2 days later, on December 4th, he was assassinated by none other than his former enemies and now allies. In between that, what happened in 2015 is that the Houthi group put the president and his cabinet under house arrest, and he fled to Saudi Arabia, and he called for the Saudi-led coalition to intervene and to restore him into power. And we have seen, unfortunately, a disastrous and not very well-planned intervention in Yemen that has led us to where we are today. I'm a huge fan of Marzouki's work, and I follow his, especially his breakdown of the levels of struggles. He breaks it down to 3 periods of time in history: the struggle against slavery, the second is the struggle against colonialism, and now the struggle for individual liberties within the states. And we know that every action has a counter reaction, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And no revolution has ever been saved or spared from a counter-revolution, which is what we're suffering from. But the fight is ongoing, and I would like, I always use the book, The Middle East Crisis Factory by Iyad al-Baghdadi and Ahmed Ghantash, who basically put in the frame of 30 years. They set a period of time for the Arab Spring to materialize within 30 years, and we are still in the epitome of it. And it's still going. It's only going to get better from here. And we saw that with November 11th. There was a potential revolution in Egypt that everybody was looking forward to. But even though that did not materialize on the ground, it definitely broke the barrier of fear that was the main obstacle. And Mr. Marzouki will dive deeper into it, and we will look forward to your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.